All right. So, a very good evening to all of us. We are all welcome to this evening's Inspire. Our guest is ready for us. I hope we are ready too. So, tonight, I know by now most of us know who our guest is, but I'll still introduce him anyway. I can see Elder Ben, you are welcome. 1AC, I don't know who that is, but you are welcome. Ja, you are welcome. Derek, Uncle Boete, I can see you, you are welcome. Those of you joining us on YouTube too, we say thank you very much for being with us. You are all welcome to this evening's Inspire once again. And our guest is already seated and he's waiting for us to ask him all the questions we have on our mind so he can share all that is laid on his heart also to us. So tonight I'll start with a quote, but the quote is actually something I saw from our guest. I would want to start with that so he explains to us a little what he means. I saw it and I fell in love with it. So it says that if you want to be happy for 1 hour, take a nap. If you want to be happy for 1 day, go fishing. If you want to be happy for a year, inherit a fortune. But if you want to be happy for a lifetime, find somebody to save. So, guys, that's my quote for this evening. Our speaker will help us talk a little about that quote. So, I don't know if you understand me, I don't understand. So, let me read a little about our guests. Our guest is by name Dr. Harry Akoto, and he's a neurosurgeon at the Kolibu Teaching Hospital and at the Focus Orthopedic Hospital. He had his basic medical education at the University of Ghana Medical School, where he graduated in 1998. He proceeded to undertake residency in neurosurgery after 1 year of internship, and after graduating in 2007, sorry, he received a gold award for academic excellence from the West African College of Surgeons. So let me leave it there. His profile is as tall as the mountain. So we will leave it there briefly so we hear it from the horse's own mouth. Dr. Harry Akoto, you are welcome.
Thank you, Felicia. I hope it's good enough.
Pardon?
I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
All right. So good evening to everyone who is online.
Okay.
I'm happy to.
Yeah. So, Dr. Harry Akoto, I read a little about you. Before you even confirm that, I want you to help us explain a little bit into what this your quote is about. Your quote says, if I want to be happy for an hour, I should take a nap. And if I want to be happy for a day, I should go fishing. And if I want to be happy for a year, I should inherit a fortune. But then if I want to be happy for a lifetime, I should find someone to save. Can we start with that?
Well, so all this means is that the ultimate way to be happy is to serve humanity.
Okay.
The more people you can serve,
Mm,
give service to, the most likely you are to be happy. Now think about it, everything is about service.
okay.
Sometimes I hear young people who they want everything in life, but they don't want to serve anyone.
Mm,
They just want to be master of themselves. If you look at the richest people in the world, the great people in the world, they are what they are because others accept them to be what they are. You can call yourself a king, but if you don't have a nation to rule over or a kingdom, you are not a king.
okay.
Okay,
Okay.
somebody like Bill Gates, he finds something that everybody wants. It's a form of service.
Okay.
He desires people that meet your need. He is serving you. And in return for that service, you pay him handsomely.
Okay.
If you take our leaders, our presidents, he comes and promises he will give you the best of service. And so you have a constitution that pays him, protects him so he can serve you. So the ultimate you can do for humanity is to serve. And if you serve deeply and truly from your heart, you become a happy person. The rewards are not always financial, but you are going to be happy. Okay. And that is it. People lose sight of that and think it is the money. No, it is not the money, it is the service. When you find that niche where you think you can be of service to someone or some people, it is truly a pleasurable place to be. That is all for me.
I see. That's quite interesting. Guys, you're welcome. So our guest has started already. He has already zoomed into lessons of life. And I'm already bewildered by the revelations. Dr. Ariakoto, first of all, I want you to confirm a little that I read about you. Is it true you are a doctor at Kolibu and all of that I said about you? Just so we know we are
Yeah.
talking to the right person.
Okay. So I am a doctor. I am a neurosurgeon.
Okay. Okay.
I serve at the Kolibu Teaching Hospital primarily, but I
Okay.
also serve moonlight at the Focus Orthopedic Hospital and also
Okay.
at the Trust.
And this,
I do all sorts of things. I teach part-time at the University of Allied uh, Sciences and then the School of Health Sciences at Cape Coast. So I teach in a medical school in Ho and also in Cape Coast on part-time basis.
okay. That's
That's
a
what.
lot. Anyway, that's all that my brain can take right now. So as we go on, I believe you'll be telling us more about what you do. Now let's dwell on this particular lesson that you just talked about serving humanity and finding joy in it. I just want to know, at what stage in life did you come to that realization? I mean, is it something you have always known, or at a point in life, is it that something somebody taught you, or life just taught you on its own?
I don't know where to start from.
Mm,
I do not think anybody called me per se, but you see, indirectly, you are brought up that way.
mm-hmm,
In our culture, you are told to serve people. You are told to serve the elderly. Or if you see an elderly on the bus, stand for them. It's a form of service.
okay.
Okay. You
Okay.
see the needy, help them. It's a form of service. All right. If somebody, the hungry, is at your doorstep, feed them. It's a form of
Mm,
service.
mm,
So they teach us these things in multiple ways, in our everyday life. But what they don't add to it in for it to make real sense is that it is serving humankind
mm-hmm,
that brings true happiness. And we know it is nothing out of the blue.
mm-hmm.
We just don't do it overboard all the time for all people.
Okay.
So for example, even the meanest of people have somebody they love, somebody they will
Yeah.
do, somebody they cherish.
Yeah.
So the thief, the armed robber goes to steal from one person so they can use it to serve another person.
Another person. Yeah.
That person may be themselves and their wife or their kids. So the
Mm,
act itself is wrong. But look at it, for him to be happy, even that he robbed,
mm-hmm.
he has a gang of people that he has to serve. So service underlines almost everything we do. That is
Okay.
the way I see it. But
Okay.
true service, when you do it in a selfless manner, not necessarily looking for what you stand to gain, but
Okay.
just doing it for the sake of doing it, just knowing that it is good and God commands it and you have to do it, and that's it. So that is where I see it from. I have sat down and thought about it,
Okay.
and I've looked at my life over time. I've read autobiographies of very great people, and the line seems to be service to humanity.
I see.
And so I like it, and I just think it is basis on which everything else runs.
Beautiful. Okay, thank you. So now let's go to Dr. Harry or Kwesi as a child. You know, so you were born in Ashaiman or where? Let's start from there.
Okay, I wasn't born in Ashama, so
All
I
right.
came to Ashama about 5 years.
I didn't get that.
I was born near Takwa in a village called
Okay.
Nim,
Okay.
in the western region. Not Mim itself. Mim is actually a town, okay, but there's a village then called Awudia. That was where I was born. I didn't have the privilege of being born in a hospital. I was born at home.
Okay.
And the only memory I have of that place is me getting on a train and saying goodbye to someone. And next thing I knew, I was in Accra.
Okay.
And it was very spectacular when I first got into Accra. I mean, that was the first time I've seen lights everywhere, you know. So as a child, I remember very well 37. That's the first I readily recall. The bus drove to somewhere around 37. I saw lights everywhere, and I'm like, wow, this is the city. But I must have been just yes. So that was it. And then we came to settle. My mom's big brother, Mr. Kuto, now Togbi.
Yeah.
Togbi is he was in Ashaman then. So my mother followed up and came here. And that was it. So we came to settle in Ashama. And then I started schooling
Okay.
in Ashama. Yeah. So that's where I was born. But I principally
Okay.
grew up the first 14 years of my life in Ashama.
Okay. So you when by the time you were coming to Ashaiman, you were how old?
About 5 or 6.
Okay. Okay. So let's say your primary day started from Ashaiman. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So which school was that?
So I went to the best school in Ashama then, St. Mary's International.
I see. Oh, okay. Hmm.
It's still out there. It was between a school then called Kwakwediam and St. Mary's. But we believed St. Mary's was the best school. It was owned
Okay.
by one Dr. Apenyo, and
Yeah.
he still has the St. Mary's International and the school of same name. And so, yeah, I went to that school, actually, let me backtrack. I think I missed a little bit. When we
Okay.
came from Western region to Accra, you know, my mom is an Ewe, my dad is an Ashanti. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't know that. All right. I always, when I was growing up, I told people I have no inheritance because the Ewes inherit from their fathers and the Ashanti inherit from their mothers. In other words, I have no inheritance, so I need to create my own inheritance. And I got that right from the very start that, well, I have nowhere, I need to create one for myself.
Yeah.
But then I think when we came to Ashaman, my mom being Ewe was very irritated that I couldn't speak Ewe. Obviously, growing up between 0 to 5, I was surrounded by Akan, so I spoke Akan very well. And so my mother was a bit irritated about that and took me to an Ewe school, Segbeji Memorial.
Okay.
So I started school at Segbeji Memorial for the first 3 years of my life, where I actually learned Ewe, how to
Beautiful.
speak Ewe. Literally everybody in that school in Ashaman was an Ewe.
Okay.
And so I had no option but to speak. And so after that, then I was transferred to St. Mary's International, which I think was a good decision. And I finished primary school from there, went to secondary school. Secondary school, I went to Some High Secondary School because my mother wanted me to be around her hometown.
Okay.
So I went to Some High Secondary School, and I did 2 years there. First year, I realized that was not the school for me. So I started telling my mom, I don't think that is the school I have to be in. One, I wanted to do science. They never offered science at the time.
Okay.
And at the time, I'm not saying the school is bad, but the basic English there was very bad.
Okay.
So I did join the debate team, and I was in Form 1. I could comfortably argue with Form 5s
Okay.
very well. And it was not because I was too smart, I guess, but it was because most of them could barely speak good English.
Okay.
And so that was it. But by the time I was in second year, it was obvious to me I wasn't cut out to do arts or business.
Okay.
I wanted to do science at the time. So I impressed on my mom, and I was transferred to Tema. So I finished years of my O levels at Chemu Secondary School. And after that, I went to do sixth form in Accra Academy for 2 years. And that ended my secondary school education. Of course, I had to do some youth service. So I went to do youth service in the north of Ghana, in a place called San, which was an exciting time in my life. Being the first time that I was completely away from home for so long, completely. Yeah, so I was there for almost a year, 11 months to be precise. And then I came back to Accra again, university study.
Okay.
You want
So there was a break somewhere. So you finished about a year at the north, and then
Yeah.
you came back to Accra.
Yes.
But you made mention that it was one of the best moments of your life. Well,
Yes.
I'm curious
Yeah.
about that.
Ever since I was 13, I haven't really been home for very, because I started boarding school. I started secondary school when I was 13.
Okay.
And so you were out, even though when I was in Sume Secondary School, it was a day school. It was so far from home. So I was living with my grandma and going to school. So yes, it was good, but you always had somebody around who is older to help you make decisions and everything. So basically that was it. But when I went to the north, it was the first time I am in a place where I know no one, absolutely no one. And I was supposed to make everyday decisions all by myself. Remember, in those days, there were no mobile phones.
Yeah.
Okay. You didn't call your mom and say, Mom, I have this problem. What should I do? Oh, Dad, what should I do about this? There's nothing like that. And you were given, I wasn't from a very affluent home. So there was nothing like anybody gave you money to take along. I bought some Gary and maybe Shito. That was enough just probably to last me a month. But after that, I was on my own. And so you have to make decisions about what to eat, how to sleep, what to buy, what to wear. All these decisions, I think they were crucial. I started handling money very, very early in life, maybe around the age of 8, I started making money. But
Okay.
all that was still overseen by your parents. I was selling as young as 8 years. And so handling money was not anything new. But your mother always decided that, oh, it's Christmas, so this your money, this is what you do with it. This is what you do with that. Or she borrows it and never gives it back to you. But to be out there making every single decision from when you wake up to when you go to bed for 11 months to a year, that was the first time that it happened. And that is why I say it is very, very important to me.
I see. I see. So now let's come to your uni days. Um, I know you went to the University of Ghana. First of all, I know you didn't come from a well-to-do home, so I want to even find out in the first place how you entered the uni. You said you were selling as young as 8 years.
Yeah.
Were you putting some monies together? What was your mother doing? I mean, how did you get to the uni in the first place?
Okay. So that's question. Even though I was selling, I have sold literally everything you can think about. My mom was a trader of one sort, a petty trader to start, and she started doing slightly bigger things. But overall, I started selling ice water.
Okay.
So in those days, it was not sachet water or bottled water. Okay, poured the water in a silver pan, which was polished to the shine. It was literally like a mirror. You could see yourself in the silver in the bowl. And you went to see, there are very few people with freezers those days, and televisions for that matter. And so you took, yeah, my mom would give me some money. You went to buy ice block, you put it in the
Okay.
bowl, and then you poured water on it, and you carry it on your head, and you start blending it all. Ice water, and you enjoy. Yes, so yes, I did that. And you sell the water. So from that, you get something small, and Christmas, you could buy yourself some drink or nothing much. And then I came from there to becoming because Auntie Grace used to sell fish. She was a fishmonger. She would buy fresh fish, smoke it, and so I would carry some of the fish to town and go and sell, and also again make a little money off. My mother also used to go to buy goods to come and sell, cigarettes, cloth, like baby skates along the line, cigarettes, uh, all sorts of things. And again, when they came, I had to be part of it. So I'll join her in selling. I sold Tugbe, what's the donuts, the local ones called Tugbe. I hope you guys
Yeah,
know that.
we know
Yes,
it.
my mother used to sell that as well. And I'll carry it to town and go and sell. I did that by day, and in the nights, I sold kerosene. Kerosene, we used to buy the kerosene in gallons and then pour it in beer bottles and sell to the women who sell on the stores at night,
At night,
around the night market. I also sold bread. I would sit with my mom deep into the night, around night market. And again, we would sell bread. You know, we buy loaves of bread, cut it into pieces. And, you know, all this I did. So the concept of money was very real to me. I knew what money could do. I understood money from a very early age. And
Okay.
I knew how to work for that money. When I finished primary school at age 12, I went to visit my grandfather. the Volta region. And he was a farmer. He was a rice farmer.
Mm.
Somewhere along the line, I would go. That was when I actually started saving real. So I would go to his rice farm and help. But he had his own. He had his kids who were also helping out. So someone hired me to drive away the birds from eating the rice, as it grew. And so they paid you with rice. When they harvest the rice, you get maybe a bag or half a bag of rice, and then you could sell that and use it as money and make money out of it. And so that was actually the first money I actually accumulated. I remember helping my mother with that to buy my school uniforms when I started secondary school.
Okay.
Then that was it. But whilst I was in secondary school also, I was selling. In fact, for the 5 years I was in secondary school, I used to sell alcohol. I used to sell akpeteshi because my mother had a small bar and they sold akpeteshi. In the same bar was a tailor. My mother's husband, my stepdad, was a tailor. He worked in the factory by day and sold later anytime he came back from work. So I was there selling alcohol, but I was also there observing him, and I have to learn in that environment. That is where I have to learn. There's nothing like you are going to hide. And we stayed there till no customer came for you to serve, and you go to bed around midnight. So that is how you accumulated a little money here and there. Another source of income that I really made, and that was the first time I saw what I call lots of money then.
Okay.
But when after O-levels, myself and a couple of my friends decided to organize a vacation classes for students who were in Ashama then, because in those days, there were very few people in Ashama who actually went to secondary school. One of the notably ones who went to the university then was Seda Ben, who is on the platform tonight.
Yeah.
It was like our big brother there, and everybody said, Seda Ben is going to the university. We didn't call him Seda Ben then. We had another name for him.
Okay.
And so we looked at him, I want to go to the university. I remember very well when I finished secondary school.
Thank you. Don't tell them the other name, please.
I remember telling my mother I wanted to go to the university. I said, my mother was like, why do you want to go to the university? And I said, go to the university. Nobody in my family has ever been. So I want to go to the university. And it didn't make too much. But my mother was one person who would not stop who did not stop me from achieving any goal. I didn't really understand education, to be honest with you. But she never also prevented me from doing anything. So if I told you I started primary school all the way to secondary school, and my mother has never seen my terminal reports before. She's never even asked. Her duty was, oh, you are owing school fees. Okay, this is the money, go and pay. You didn't even need to bring receipts to her. Occasionally, she can't pay, sacked from school for a few days, and she will hustle and eventually get to pay for you. But that was how it was like. She was never in your way. So you had to look outside your circles to be able to get inspiration, to be able to advance in life. Why did I go to the university is the original question. I remember very well the first time I went to Chemu. The headmaster then, Mr. Tinkran, would always write his name and add some alphabets after the name. So, S.A. Tinkran, B.E., M.S. something. How do I achieve this? So you won't believe it. Anytime I was writing an exam, in those days, the exam papers were just foolscap sheets with the school stamp on it. I would write my name close to where the school stamp is on top. And then hidden in the stamp, I would write E, B, S, C, which I didn't have. I just wanted to that? You know, now
Did you
I have.
understand?
Oh, I understood what I understood. It means you have some academic achievements, but
Okay.
I wanted it so much. Even though I didn't have it, I would scribble it by my name. And one time, you know, what is fraud? Do you know how people suffer to get that? I wanted to achieve that. So yes, that was kind of interesting for me at that time. But that inspired me to want to go to the university. And so I did. I passed O levels very easily. I didn't have any problems passing. I went for sixth form, Accra Academy. Again, I passed, God willing, and went to the university without any hassle. And yes, that was when most of my issues started, whether to stay in school or to quit school. I had to make one of such decisions at one point in my life. Okay. And that was kind of interesting. I will tell you that. I will give you more details as we go along.
I wish we could just handle that. I mean, let's not quench the fire. So let's talk about it. Because, I mean, that's all Inspire 6 to do. So let's follow the story. Please tell us. Tell us how all of those, yeah.
I did my national service in Sandema, like I said. But whilst I was there, I applied for the Russian scholarship.
Okay.
So scholarship, it was a government scholarship that took you to Russia to go and study. Because at the time, I thought my parents couldn't support me in the university.
Yeah.
So that was a prudent way to do it. So I applied for that scholarship. And I was shortlisted for an interview. Guess what? I was in Sandema. Not even in Sandema. I was in a village 3 miles out of Sandema, and you have to walk every third day to come to the market because they have their market days were every third day. And when I was shortlisted, there were no telephones then for somebody to give you a call and say, hey, they've called you for an interview, so come home. So my mom had a relative who was in the police then. And he went to tell this man, uncle, and said, you know, my son has been invited to the interview, but he's not in Accra. We don't know how to get to him. So the policeman then sends a police telegram to the nearest police station to us, which was Boligatanga. And then they then sent a note by, I am not sure how, but a dispatch radar or something. But the note came to the Education Service Office and the National Service District Office, who then delivered the letter eventually to my school. That whole process. When when I got the note, I had only 2 days for the interview to get to Accra for the interview. Now the problem was this: no car moves out of that village until it is market day. So I packed my things, went to Sandema, but I couldn't get a car. And I stayed there for overnight. The following day, I saw an articulated truck that had come to load cattle and was sending them to Kumasi. I didn't have an option but to join hitchhike on that truck. So I was in the cargo compartment with these beasts or the cattle at the back. You know, so you can imagine what happened by the time we got to Bolga. There was
what happened? They had pooed on you or what?
The floor is all messed up, you know.
Oh my God.
So you were standing in what I do not want to mention.
Oh
but
God.
when I got I was able to come off that truck and then got an STC bar and came to Accra. But when I got to Accra, it was the day of the interview. but it was 4 p.m. When I got to the National Service Secretariat, they said they had finished the interviews and those who were selected, the shortlisting had already been done. So that was it. My dream of going to Russia or the Soviet Union was quenched. Anyway, I had applied to do medicine at University of Ghana. So I was called for an interview there also. And I attended the interview somewhere around Commonwealth Hall, Z Room. Went for the interview again. I passed that interview and was admitted into the medical school. My mom then was a trader. She used to travel to Togo and come back with goods to sell. So she was the one who used to take care of me. And when I was in second year in medical school, she had an accident on her way from Togo. She got injured. I believe she had some form of spine injury at the time. But the worst thing is, she was in hospital for a few weeks. And because of the accident, all the goods were damaged, or whatever was left of it was stolen by those who pounced on the accident scene. And everything was. So when she came out of hospital, she had nothing. And that means my sole sponsor is gone.
Another disappointment.
So at that point, yes, that was a big setback, I must say.
Yeah, a huge one.
I prayed fervently about it. And I decided I'm not going to quit. So I need to do something to survive. So what I did was go home. My mother had an old sewing machine. Now I told you my stepfather used to sew. So whilst I was there, I picked up a few skills. So I brought the sewing machine to school and started sewing for my friends in school. And I started off by doing it free of charge. So because I wasn't sure if I was good enough. So when something is torn, I just went from door to door. Oh, if you have something torn, just give it to me. I'll do it for you. And I would sew it. In time, I was sewing full dresses. I mean, I could make a shirt, I could make a trousers. And the whole idea that I'm a medical student, you know, and people called, even then people used to call you doctor.
Yeah.
Who could sew? It's exciting for people. And so people would just come and say so for me. And so that's how I started. And within a couple of years, it was a full-fledged business that I was doing. What it did to me though is that it took away most of my social life, I must say. In uni, you want to go for programs outside of lecture hours, you want to socialize. But those were the times when I needed to make money to survive. And I did that until I finished medical school. And so those were very exciting times. I remember when I was in fifth year, it was really difficult. I mean, even though I was making some money, it wasn't enough, especially when I had to buy textbooks and I had to likely we weren't paying school fees then. But you still had to feed yourself. You had to buy all the expensive medical books. But in all these, God answers you in ways you cannot believe. I had a very good friend called Florence. May her soul rest in peace. Because
Amen.
she was my classmate in Sume High Secondary School. She was a very, very good friend. And when I was in second year, she came to first year and she was doing languages. So when she was in her second year, I believe, as part of her Russian language study, she has to go to Russia for 1 year. And she went. Being my very good friend, she wrote me a letter in a month of going. And when I opened the letter that month, the very first month, there was a $5 note in the letter.
Oh.
And she did that religiously until she came back to Ghana.
Oh.
And you do not know the joy it is. The eagerness with which I await her letters. Not just because she remembers me, but because there was money in there. You know, so it wasn't a lot, but coupled with the little work I was doing, it kept me going.
Yeah.
One day I had a revelation. Revelations comes in several ways. So I'll just tell you, it is not what, because there are a lot of Christians on this platform, people think, hey, God spoke to me. Yeah, God did speak to me, but in a way you cannot fathom.
Yeah.
I was standing behind the medical school, and I was really thinking about, can I finish this? And I was wondering whether to just leave. I was already very good at selling and doing business. So I just told myself, why do you punish yourself trying to finish this thing when you could just go and get some work and do? And whilst I stood there, there was a tree, a very big tree behind the school, our hostel. And I stood there looking at this tree, and I said to myself, you know, I need to grow, I need to become something big, you know? I need to reach the height. The moment the thought of reaching to the heights came into my mind, I saw something. High up on the roof of the hostel.
Of the hostel, okay.
No, not the tree was by the building.
Okay.
Okay. On the roof was a shrub. Very tiny shrub, but it was growing on the roof.
Okay.
And I look at it, and I've seen that thing so many times, but it never sent me a message. But that very instant, it was like a revelation. I mean, the word I got out of it is, the privileged have strong roots. Their parents are rich. They come from strong communities. They come from rich neighborhoods. They will grow like a tree. But the Lord shall lift the little ones like a shrub and put them high up, and they shall still be at the same as the mighty one.
That's a message right there. I got it. I got it.
My life, that's very. And I said to myself, I am not going to quit.
Yeah.
That was the point when I decided that I am going to finish what I started. I am not. All right. So that was very, very profound. I call it the revelation of my life.
Yeah.
It is the one moment in my life when I think God did speak to me. Okay. So that took me through. And then at the later part of that year, that same year, I used to work for an organization. Again, this is what I mean by service. There was an organization called Ghana Village Project. Now, Ghana Village Project was a group of students who came together. They adopt a village and try to seek help to help solve problems they identify in these villages. So I would go with them, and eventually I was very active, so I was made a coordinator in this group. And we would go to the villages and teach them about health. Little things about hand washing, how to prevent malaria, and all sorts of things. And then we collaborated with some German students, and not German students, a group of international students who would come together and also join in this effort.
Okay.
So we did that for a very long time. And when we were in 5th year, there was a call by the European Union that we should come for some form of training in project management. And we had a meeting at the local level, and I was chosen to attend this course. It was
This
fully
was
paid
when
and
you
it
were
was,
in school. Were you done
yes,
with
when I was in,
your uni?
no, I was still, medical school is 6 years.
So, okay,
This was when I was in 5th year.
okay, okay, okay.
So I was selected, there were 3 of us were selected to go
Okay.
from med school. Then we had some students from the agric school, some from the School of Forestry, and then the School of Pharmacy. So we went as a group.
Okay.
Now, when we were going, we realized one thing. When these young white people come to Ghana and they were going back,
Mm-hmm.
they always bought artifacts from Ghana. They would buy, they would buy drums, kente cloth, and all sorts of things. But by far, we noticed that they bought drums a lot. So all my friends, most of them were from very good homes. They had some money. They decided that, oh, they would buy drums and send and go and sell over there.
Yeah.
Okay, I had nothing to buy. So
Okay.
I went empty-handed. So we got to Germany, stayed there for almost a month. And getting to the 4th week, I've noticed that all those who brought their drums were still sitting in their rooms. So I approached one of the guys and said, but aren't you going to sell your drum? He said, so I thought if you bring it, then people will just jump on it and buy, but obviously we can't. So I asked him, well, what are you going to do with it? He says, oh, I'll just leave it. There's nothing I can do. I said, okay, here's the deal. Give me that drum. How much do you want for it? The first guy says, I want 30 Dutch marks. I said, okay, so if I sold it for you, how much would I get? He says, well, I'll give you 5 Dutch marks. Good for me. So I went, carried the drum, and went to the train station. And just when a train comes and everybody is disembarking, I started playing the drum. And people would gather around me, and then just when at the heat of it, I just told them, yes, I'm selling the drum. I sold the first drum at 50 Dutch marks. So I came back and gave the guy his 30 Dutch marks, pocketed my 20, and then he gave me
5, eh?
So literally, we shared the money, 25 Dutch marks each. And then he had a second, and I said, so would you give it to me? And he said, yeah, why not? He was excited. I went to that one at 70 Dutch marks.
Wow.
When I came, I told him, cheating is not good. So this is the true price I sold it. So we are going to split it. So instead of 30 Dutch marks, he got 35.
Okay.
And word quickly spread that Harry is able to sell the drums. So everybody brought their drums. In all, I had 14 drums.
Okay.
And by the time the week was over, I had sold 8.
Wow.
But after I sold the first 3, I realized there was money to be made. So when they came, I told them, okay, what I'm going to do is I have a little money. So I'll buy the drum off you. I'm not going to sell it for you. So I will give you, how much are you selling? He says 40 Dutch marks. I give them 40 Dutch marks for each drum, or promise to pay them 40 Dutch drum. And then I will try to sell it as much as I could get out of it. And by the time I was leaving, I had made 1,200 Dutch marks out of those drums. I had 4 left over that I couldn't sell. And I went to one of my German friends and told him, this is the deal. So please keep it, sell it anytime you have, and send me the money. And you can keep 50% of the sales. This young man was very kind. He sold it and returned all the money to me.
Oh.
And so that was it. And that helped me. At one point, by the time I got to final year, I was making more money sewing than the freshly qualified doctor makes.
So,
I had
Dr.
become
Harry, just a minute. So this was in Germany. You spent about a month or 2.
Just a month.
Okay, so you came back after that to
Yes,
continue
I
your
came to
education?
Ghana.
It
I
was
had to,
just a short something you went to do.
yeah, it was just a holiday educational trip.
Okay, okay, I get you. And it was on that educational trip you went making money.
Yes, because there's opportunities to make money every time, everywhere.
I hear you.
And
Let's go on.
I still do it.
I know, right? I know.
Yes. So anytime I have to travel, I think about how much money I am spending and wondering why I am wasting all the travel. And so I find out what do people here need, so that when I go, they are going to buy it anyway here at a higher price. So I'll go shopping, buy enough, bring, and then come and then sell. So I defray the cost of my travel. So really, even though I'm traveling, I never used my money to travel, in essence.
Hmm.
Yes.
I see. Now let's come back to how
So,
you were able to finish your school. So I'm sure
well,
it's about this selling and gathering some monies here and there, bits and bits.
yeah, I mean, the stories are many. I remember one time I went to a friend, my former roommate when we were on. He was my very good friend. I mean, he is still my very good friend,
Okay.
Mr. Samuel Say. We
Okay.
started from Accra. We went to the university together. He was my roommate
Okay.
and very, very gracious guy. He was an athlete. And then he became the sports prefect when we were in the university at Ikwafo Hall. And then he made me the team captain. So anytime there was a sports event, well, I got a free ticket to go. I got free food because I was taking care of the athletes, even though I wasn't a doctor. Yes, but that was it. So you you make use of every opportunity that comes your way. And that is key. I believe sincerely from everything that has happened to me in my life, that every single person, every single opportunity that comes your way, God sees far into your future and knows exactly what is going to happen at a certain point. Can you look? Let me tell you, when I was working in this tailoring shop, we were 4 boys who used to sit in the same kiosk. None of them knew how to sew. They couldn't be bothered. For them, it was just a place for us to sit, chat, and fool around. That was it. But I have to learn, I have to sell, and yet I found the time that I thought it was good to learn this thing, and I learned it. And that single thing became the savior when I was in university. I went to visit this friend of mine, Sammy, in his house. And we visited their neighbor who was next door. And that neighbor's aunt used to live in the UK. And she had this fantasy that she's coming to do business in Ghana and imported a container load of cornflakes.
Okay.
Without doing enough research about how the systems work in Ghana. So she flies to Ghana, took 6 weeks off or thereabouts to come on holiday, hoping that she would clear her goods and everything. Guess what? Her holiday was over and she couldn't even clear it from the port.
My God.
So eventually the container came, she was able to clear her container, and there was tons of cornflakes in it, just about. And I went there and I heard her talking to her niece and lamenting about how she spent so much money buying these cornflakes and it is going to expire and she's going to lose. She doesn't know what to do. So I asked her, how many more weeks do you have? And she said, oh, the cornflakes will expire in 2 months. And I said, but you are leaving in a few weeks. She said, yes, that is her problem. Because she doesn't think she can sell all the cornflakes in that time. But I said, you see, if it expires, you lose everything. So why don't you reduce it to half price so you save half of your money? And she thought about it. Yeah, that is true. So I said, okay, once you've reduced it to half price, can I buy some? And so I bought a ton load of that cornflakes. And believe me, everybody in medical school ate cornflakes. I went from door to door and made everybody buy that cornflakes. I sold it at the nurses training college. I literally was just selling cornflakes everywhere. By the time I was done, well, I had free breakfast to eat, but also I had made a lot of money for myself. So I was kind of ingenious when it comes to all these little things to make ends meet. Okay. Well, so having done that, save from the drums, still doing my sewing, I was able to go to school with my peers. I mean, I didn't have to repeat any class at all. I was able to go through, God willing. And then I started the life of a doctor, and here I am today.
Oh, what a story. You know what? Just relax a bit. Just take in a sip of water like we usually let our guests do. Just relax a bit. I know how it feels like. It feels like you were walking through your days, in your mind's eye and all of that. Thank you very much. So just take a break. Guys, it's been Dr. Harry Akoto, and we've had a very interesting moment already. Those of you who are now joining, you are welcome. Um, Technology has made it that everything that went on before you join in, you can always go back and then get it. So I've seen a few of your questions coming in. Interestingly, just when the question comes in, some way, somehow, he finds a way of answering it. So most of your questions, I believe, have been answered, but we'll still ask. I see somebody asking, how were you able to balance sewing with studies? I think that's one thing he hasn't told her how he was able to, even all with this conflicts and all of that money-making venture. So, Dr. Ariakoto, I think you would want to say how you were able to do that before I come in with a few other questions that I have for you.
Well, so my answer to that is there's always time if you treasure something enough. A lot of the time we spend too much time complaining instead of solving a problem. I see a lot of young people and they have so much opportunity around them. But what do? They complain. Now, like I said, you needed to sacrifice some part of your life, but you need to decide what to sacrifice. I still belong to the Christian Association in school. I still have to go for lectures. I still have to go to church. But there was a vital part I could sacrifice. My friends played football, weekends. It was fun. Yes, it is fun to play football. So I'm not saying it is not good to play football, but I had to look inward. I had to look at my situation and not try to be a man pleaser, try to be like my friends and go along with them, go play football. Once you are done, they would have a parent who will give them food. I needed to make money. In fact, at one point, I had to make money and send some home. Because at one point, my mom didn't have a job. After she came back from the hospital for some time, she wasn't working. Okay, and I had to make sure she got money. So I was even sending money home. It wasn't enough, but I needed to do that. So I had to sacrifice all the playtime. Instead of buying food from the canteen or from across the street, I cooked every single meal.
Okay.
The women in Makola knew me very well. My favorite fish was tuna.
Okay.
It is this fish that, it fills your mouth when you chew it.
It's 7 o'clock.
And so it was my favorite. And I would go to the market and buy and come in bulk and eat. All right. So I never wasted any food. I never wasted any opportunity. And you choose friends that do not discourage you. I had a few friends, I belong to a study group, and they help you along. I know I had, like I said, everybody God brings your way. There was this wonderful lady, my senior in medical school. Again, how did I meet her? This same friend of mine, Samuel, just came, and then we went to Saba Hall, and then we bumped into this lady who apparently they both hail from Takwa. And so she said, oh, this is my big sister. We were in the same secondary school, and now we are in the university. And she introduced me as, oh, I'm also a medical student. And she said, oh, you're also a medical student? That's nice. And it was almost like God spoke to her. And when I got to third year, I went over to her place one day, and she's like, oh, these books, I've finished and they are just taking up so much space. Harry, have you bought books already? And I said, I could have said, do I even have money to buy? But I just said no. Okay, these books are just taking up space. Come and take all my third year book. And this woman just gave me all her books, from microbiology to pathology, everything. She gave them to me to take. And that is how I got books to read. Because I couldn't buy a lot of the books. Occasionally I would buy some. You know, so these things helped me along the way. So people that God brought into my life helped me along the way. But the essence is there's so much time that we use for unnecessary things that you need. If you are consistent and tell yourself, and one of the things I did was I realized the weekends were not mine, because the weekends really, Friday night, I started cutting all the materials that I was going to sew. And Saturday and Sunday, it was all sewing. For 3 years, I never slept on the bed. Because my sewing machine, my materials that I bought, there was these materials called Splash. I will go and buy them from Makola, make dresses out of them and hang them outside, and the students will come and buy. And so the bed, we were living in single rooms. Of course, it was better than the situation you have now where there are 4 people living in a room. We used to be 1 person to each room. And so with that, I just put everything on my bed, and I had a mattress on the floor because I didn't want to displace anything. And then when it is time to work, I now have to be putting things. Everything was just in my bed, and I used to sleep on the floor. You know, and that is how I went. So every time I come from school during the week, I would spend an hour or 2 reading over everything I have learned during the day, because I knew my days were numbered, my weekends were not mine. So I had to be strategic, so that whilst the other boys were playing over the weekend, I was using that time to sew. But then the weekdays, I sat up deep into the night to read. So I always went to very late. And that is how I was able to cope and went through medical school. I would give myself a sewing break, maybe for 3-4 weeks when we were preparing for exams. And then after that, I will resume. So that's how I did. I went through it. Yeah.
I believe somebody's question has been answered. I think it was Faustina that brought that in. So he just found his way of managing it and allotting time to every single demand that he had. Dr. Ariakoto, I want us to get back a little. I know whilst you're actually answering most of my questions, so I'm enjoying it tonight. So I want to find out, at what stage did you realize that, you mentioned the fact that your mom is an Ewe and then your dad is an Akan, so you had no inheritance. Who told you that? I mean, how did you realize that? Because it looks like it has actually influenced your life so much so that from all the stories, you never mentioned an uncle anywhere where you thought that somebody, you could lean on somebody. But it looked like you saw it early enough. So it helped you with most of your decisions. At what stage did you realize that fact or that reality?
You see, it's a reality when you grew up with your mom She's a single mom at one point.
Mm.
Yeah, you know, she keeps drumming it into your head that look,
Okay.
we are poor. We are poor. We don't have anyone, so you have to be careful the way you live. You know,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
it goes in. Now, my name is Akuto,
Mhm.
but that's not my father's name. That is my mother's
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
And I took that name on myself.
Okay.
Okay, so I should have been called Boatin, but I didn't see why I should bear somebody who wasn't taking care of me. A father, I didn't really know. Why should I carry his name? So I just decided to go for my mom's name. Lots of things, I don't know. I mean, I remember the first day I was going to have do a birth certificate.
Mhm.
My mother had no idea what a birth certificate was at the time. So I just walked into the office in terms of birth and death, and then they asked me questions. I was 17 or 18. I wanted a birth certificate. I just went and then did it all by myself. The same way I did a passport all by myself. It just happens. You grow up and life, God teaches you, you have to just rely on me, as in God. There is nobody you can look up to. I had very good uncles, I must say. My mom's brothers were wonderful people. I mean, Mr. Akuto, very popular. I remember the first time I ate a hamburger, I was 18 years old. Oh, sorry, did I say hamburger? A hot dog. I was 8 when I first tasted a hot dog because that was the day I finished my O levels.
Okay.
Standing at the GTP runabout, and I saw him. And he said, Kwesi, what are you doing here? I said, oh, uncle, I just finished my O levels. And he said, this is a day for celebration. So he took me and took Vera. Vera is the Vaco Clubhouse. And then he brought the menu and I saw it, hot dog. I didn't know exactly what dog was.
But you
I said,
wanted it.
that's a hot dog.
I see.
Okay. So, I mean, those were interesting times. I mean, the story is too long, too complicated. So, yes, it's not everything that you can talk about.
Yeah, I know, right? Okay, so somebody's asking, he said, tell us how it is like being the deputy director at Kolibu. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it comes. You do what you have to do. I mean, I was invited by the chief executive then into his office, and he impressed on me that he needed me to do this for him. So I just trusted on me. That's boom. And then I get into that role, and so I'm there.
I see. You
I
are
don't
there,
see.
you are there. Okay, so I hope you've been answered. He says he just found himself there. It's a role, and he's found himself there, so he's there. Okay, so let me find out. I know you've had some successes over the days. So, um, there's a way you handle success that makes it look like I worked for it. And then there's a way that you handle success that makes it look like this is solely God. And then I know there's a way you handle success so that it sometimes it becomes like an impediment, even though it's a success. So I just want to find out you have chopped a number of successes. But for me, I don't know how others see you, but for me, you are one of the very humble people around. I mean, in spite of everything that you have achieved. How do you do that?
How do I do that? You see, there's a misconception. First of all, I don't see myself as successful.
Okay, you don't see yourself as a success yet.
Because there's so much more I could have done that I haven't done. I don't look back and whine over what I couldn't do.
Mm.
Okay, so I
Mhm.
mean, Paul put it in a very good context.
Mm.
Putting the past behind you and looking up ahead of you. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything tends to be, if you do things right, everything tends to be cumulative over time. Of course, this must be, you must have some form of deliberate actions being taken. You can't just say, I want to be rich, and then start, and then riches come. That is the
Yeah.
problem I have with us as Christians.
Mm.
Christians, you see, and I see it every time.
Mm.
They are in the SU. It is exam time is approaching. What do? They organize a series of all night for 5 days for the exams. In 5 days, I would have read 5 notebooks.
Mhm.
So God says, pray without ceasing.
Mhm.
But you shall modify.
Ought to pray at all times. But if by that statement you interpret it literally, what it also means is that you cannot eat. If you are always praying without ceasing, you don't have time to eat.
Mhm.
Okay, so the word for me, the key word is be God conscious.
Mhm.
And for me, that is prayer.
Mhm.
I mean, when I sit in my car, I don't close my eyes and put my hand together. God, I thank you. As I walk, I say thank you for that. And I sit in my car and I am so it may not seem like a prayer to someone.
Mhm.
I do not shout when I pray. I'm not saying shouting when I pray is wrong. By nature, I tend to be a bit sober. But the way I look at it is when I'm talking to my father and I'm talking to my mother, I don't scream. I have a friendly conversation. So if God is my father, why do I have to cry and scream my head off when I'm?
Mm.
In fact, I'm saying before I came to that said, should not be a stumbling block. God puts you in a place of responsibility so you can serve, and the key word is service to humankind. And so I do not see myself as successful.
Mhm.
I just see myself as privileged, entrusted with a responsibility to serve humanity.
Okay.
And that is the way I see it.
Mm.
I see it more as a task that you should deliver. It doesn't matter. No, I'm not talking about being a doctor. I'm talking about being privileged above some people, but that comes with the responsibility to render service to those people. And if you look at it, it doesn't matter whether you're an usher. It is a privileged position to be an usher. And you should not gloat over it and say, I am the usher. Who do you think you are? No. The moment they give it to you, it's a nice title, but it also makes you a servant.
Yeah.
And that is the way you have to look at it. I don't remember sometimes what happened. People see me in the street and say, oh, do you remember you did this for me? And I'm like, no, I don't.
Mm.
When I do things for people, I don't expect them to give back to me.
To you.
I completely. So if I have to give what I am comfortable with, because I do not expect any reward. For me, it is the service I have to provide, and I provide it and I move on.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you look at it and you look around you, there are people who achieve far, far, far more. So how can you then be proud that you have achieved? I haven't even begun. I think I am about to begin.
Mm-hmm.
And I prayed to God that He give me the life
Amen.
the strength to be able to sustain this. But
Amen.
really, I haven't achieved anything at all.
Mm.
I do not see myself that way in most times. I mean, if you talk to my wife, a very good friend of mine who you all know, I will not mention his name, always tells me, but you don't know you're a big man. And I say, what is big about? But I don't see myself that way. All right? I eat from the same regular places that I do. Not because I cannot eat from other places, but I do not see the difference. I just see, it just so comes that this is what I have to do and I do it. If I am given an opportunity to serve, I serve it as best as I can. And I leave the rest to God. And that's it.
The best he can and leaves the rest to God. So tonight, it's been about service. But Dr. Harry, I want you to, in that same vein, let's just continue about a few lessons that life has taught you. You've mentioned service. You have mentioned the fact that you take every opportunity, you take every chance that comes your way. What are some of the other lessons that life has taught you? It's already 7:16 according to my time. So I want you to share a little more. I mean, what are some of the lessons that life has taught you so that we can call it a night?
Lessons. Every day is a lesson, so it's a very difficult question. But the one thing I'm grateful for, which may be a lesson, is friends. I don't have many friends, but a few friends I have are truly friends. Okay, so I can count my friends on my fingertips, and I'm comfortable with that. But it's a deep relationship that we have, and that's it. We encourage each other along the way. So choose the circles in which you belong to. I always say, and I even tell my kids, you don't have to be the best. Just swim in the water that the best people swim in. And the tide will take you to good places that the best people go to. That's it. And so I try to flow with the best. So I will encourage young people, don't set low aspirations. You want to be a teacher, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with being a teacher. But remember, if you teach in the day nursery, you're a teacher. If you're a professor, you're a teacher. All right, so I choose to be the best of the two. So if being a professor is the highest attainable a teacher can be, that is what I want to be. What is the difference between a designer and a seamstress? In more ways than you can think of, they cross over a lot. It is just one is not prudent enough. One does not put too much effort into what they do. And so they limit themselves to, oh, me, I just know how to patch things. Another one says, no, I'm not content with that. I'm going to do it to the very best of my ability. And then they call him Gucci, and then you can buy his products because he serves you well. He serves you with a good design. That is what makes him Gucci. So just try to be the best that you can be. You don't have to be the best in life or the best at what you do, but do the very best that you can do and be with good people because the company that you are in influences what you become.
Largely.
So be what you become. I mean, growing up, we used to, right from St. Mary's, our head pastor, Pastor Utu, then was a young man. He had finished school through the Sekpek. He would come to the school and preach. And then we became born again and all that. Now, all these influences have helped me along the pathway of life, okay? Because sometimes I find myself in tight corners and you recall those days and it breaks on you, all right?
All right.
That is just the way it is. What do I learn from life? Life is still a mystery. I tell people I'm still a student of life.
Definitely.
Just when I think I know enough, I get something fresh. But for sure, don't depend on yourself. Always keep God in the picture.
Always keep God in the picture. I think there was a breakage somewhere, but I heard that one loud and clear. Guys, it's been inspired tonight, and it's been our guest tonight has been Dr. Harry Akoto. Like I said before, those of you who missed the beginning of this session, you can always get the recording and enjoy. Dr. Harry Akoto, you've been so much of a blessing to us tonight. For us young people, we can't say thank you enough. When we have some of you like this, talking to us, it makes us know that we are doing our best. We are charting the right path. So we will continue swimming with the best there is, like yourselves. Um, Bishop, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Ben, Uncle Buete, all of us. Can I see everybody? Guys, give me a minute. I want to see if I can see all of us, just to appreciate all of us for being here. So thank you very much. Mojifa, you are with us. Benjamin, Derek, Dana Jagu, thank you, Dorothy. Reverend Kwashi, you are here. Thank you so much, guys. Everyone, thank you so very much for being with us tonight. Um, for my team, I say thank you. Like we always say, if we put Zoom together and you are not here, it is never Inspire. If our guest also decides not to show up, Inspire doesn't take place. For Inspire to happen, we say thank you for all the supports that you have given us. So, Dr. Harry Akoto, daddy, guys, that's my daddy. So for those of you who don't know, that's my daddy right there. I'm interviewing like that. So Dr. Ariakoto, you want to give us young people your very last words. I know you have shared a lot with us, but time wouldn't permit us to hear all that your heart can possibly pour out to us. But we still want to hear the little you have for us as your last words.
Okay, so my last words. The name of the program is Inspire.
Inspire.
So I would say be
Thank
inspired.
you.
Your beginnings may seem little. When we're in school, people, when they hear you are from Ashama, you are either an object of ridicule or an object feared. They ridicule you because they think you are nobody. You come from a place of thieves. But they fear you also because they are not sure how to relate to you. I enjoyed both sides of it. Because looking at it, there is nothing like working as an underdog when you know you are way bigger than that. So just believe in yourself. Let people think what they think Ashama is nothing, but believe in yourself. And just go. And you will hit them like a storm before they even realize what is happening because they didn't think. They will not even compete with you. They didn't think that you are good enough to compete, to be a and before they know it, boom, you are at the top. So don't look down on your beginning. God has a purpose. For everything, there's a season. And this season of your life, trust God to direct you. But also more importantly, don't waste your life. It is a great time to have fun. It's a great time to be reckless. But remember, every single decision you make now, the effect will be seen in 10 or 20 years. So think 10 years ahead of time, if that is the point I'm trying to make. Think now about what you want in 10 years. Okay, so if you want to drive, and I do that exercise a lot. 20 years ago, I told my wife I would drive a BMW, and I had a specific color. a specific make. And I told my wife, that is what I want. Okay. On my 50th birthday, I told my wife, this is what I need. Think 10, 20 years ahead. When you think that way, you are able to place strategic plans in place. But if you just move with the crowd, do what everybody is doing, and accept what they say to you because you are from Ashama, then you would make their words come to pass. So be inspired. Think about your future and always put God at the center of it. Thank you.
Think about your future and always put God at the center of it. Guys, it's been a wonderful moment with Dr. Harry Akoto, and we say thank you very much as a team, and we call it a night.
Thank you.
Saying you've gotten up too busy trying to make some cash to bring me an offering. Are you saying you spent so much time doing my work, trying to catch my attention when all I really wanted was you? Coming to your first love, to the place where you and I will love forever. The one who loved you long before you ever knew your name, know that I would never ever let you go. Come back to me. Oh, 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 oh. I miss the one-on-one time with you in the secret place where only I mattered to you. Songs you sang to me, embracing my love and my grace each and every day, and I answered before your praise. Come back to your first love, to the place where you and I will last forever, to the one who loved you long before you ever knew your name. Know that I would never ever let you go. Come back to me. Do do do, whoa, whoa, yeah. Oh, come back to your first love, to the place where you and I will last forever, to the one who loved you long before you ever knew your name. Know that I would never ever let you go. Come back to me. Forever and ever. Say he is love. Unconditional love. You say he's love. He's forever now. It's unconditional.